services. So my take and view on that is we've seen a development on the airline sites. It's become a richer customer experience. Whereas we may not have seen the same development on the OTA site. There's still the basic the results that a customer takes a decision on is basically an airline logo, a departure time, and a price. So they need to enrich their experience. What OTAs are fantastic at is, of course, comparisons between airlines. But they need to enrich that experience so the customer can have that same sense of seeing them as a customer as they'd experience on an airline site. I think we'll see that. So the projections around the airline supplier, the airline sites taking a larger share of the online market is quite probable. But I think if the OTAs develop, they focus more on the customer experience, they focus more on return on trip, not just volume, but also the value that they add to the customer through the customer journey. Many customers book on the OTA sites, but they do their fulfillment when it comes to seats, bags, check-in, all of that's done on the airline site. So it's somewhere during the customer journey, the OTA is losing ownership of the customer. They need to grab that ownership, offer more services, and be that sort of one-stop shop for the customer. And that's the type of engagement with the customers they need to build, the return on trip they need to build to increase their profit and increase customer loyalty. Well, as a GDS, of course, I see that's a loaded question. As a GDS, I see there's an opportunity. Our role as a global distribution system, GDS, is to be able to offer our B2B customers, our agencies, full airline content. And we don't really care if that's through traditional ATP fare loading or whether it's through a direct connect API. We still need to offer that service, make that service comparable, but our role is also to ensure that those connections doesn't disrupt the agency workflow when it comes to modifications, cancellations, ensuring it's into their mid and back office systems. That's our role as we pipe that content through, that it aligns with their previous workflow from the traditional GDS. So normalization and enrichment of content, whether that comes from a GDS or comes from an NDC. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity, because the alternative is, it would have been the same alternative as you had sort of 20, 25, 30 years ago, where an agency would have to direct connect to every single ATP carrier. And the airlines, exactly. And the airlines did that, sold that business and called it GDS. So we're basically back to where we were 20, 30 years ago, but now we'll be aggregating content from multiple APIs instead of the agent themselves having to do the direct connect. But we're doing this on behalf of the agencies, with the agency workflow in mind, from a commercial perspective, from a technical perspective, and also from a workflow perspective, so that they can still run their business independent of where that airline content is sourced.
So you retain your role of integrator?
We retain our role of integrator, aggregator, enricher, and distributor. Metasearch is a sales channel. Metasearch is a sales channel for airlines and for OTAs. And they will maintain their role as also that comparison site. But the more experiences, the better content, the more focus on the customer journey an OTA can build, the more loyalty they will have, and maybe that customer won't go to the Metasearch next time because they're happy with the experience they have with that OTA and trust that OTA giving them the best travel experience. So they need to focus and build their direct channels. And if they do that, I think that sort of the OTA growth won't necessarily be hit as it could be from the supplier channels. Now, so I've had the pleasure of being on stage here. This is my third year in a row, and I think this has been the best of the conferences. The interest is going, the topics are growing, but there again, the topics are also becoming more and more interesting and pertinent with the new technologies, whether that's blockchain, NDC, big data, it's becoming more and more relevant now. They were discussion topics 2 years ago, but now they're coming closer and closer to reality, which excites the audience and it excites us, the representing, and of course growing by the number of delegates. So I think it's been a fantastic conference, and hopefully I'll be here again next year.